So welcome to the foraging walk in Orkney today. We're starting in a bit of a noisy place. We've got cockerels and we've got traffic here. We're going to be walking part of the St Magnus Way today, so starting here in the village, walking up to Binscarth Woods. We'll go through the woods, we'll have a look at what plants and things are around, and then up to Loch of Wasdale, where you get some lovely flowers, hopefully some wildlife and some nice views. Here we've got some elder. So we've got the elder flowers here. Anna will be telling us a bit more about the different ways that you can use them.
Simone, here's another of my favourites. I think you like this one too.
Oh yes.
It's elder. Elder tree. Steeped in lore and superstition, native to most of the northern hemisphere. Fantastic for food and medicine. Elders. Sambucus nigra, or Sambucus nigra, Sambucus black elder. It's often referred to. Yeah, so this is a typical elder leaf. This is a single leaf with 5 leaflets, a compound leaf, and sometimes you get 7, but this is more usual. So here is some of the flowers are open already and some of them are still in bud form, and here you've got still a flower head that's just budding.
How beautiful it is to watch all that plants releasing the pollen like that. You see, and all this, it's flavor and it's medicine. So if you'll be making cordial that you've mentioned, this is what you want to extract. Is this pollen.
I mean, we don't yet know exactly why elder is so effective. The berries are also a very traditional winter tonic as an antiviral for colds and flu, and there's been some research done on that. And one of the virus families that elder is very effective against is coronavirus. Now that's not to say that it's not yet known whether it's effective for the current COVID-19 virus.
This thing makes the most wonderful champagne and wine. To make wine and to make champagne, very easy. You could use champagne yeast or yeast, just wildly, like a wild yeast present on the flowers, and you would steep that in a water, sugary water, extract the pollen, and then ferment it. You will need to get your process right, so I would advise you to go into books online or join one of the courses to learn how to do it, unless you know how to do it. It's beautiful.
Great idea.
Binscarth Woods is a really popular area for locals to come, families with kids like to come, lots of dog walkers. It's also one of the few woodlands that you'll see in Orkney, and it's quite a big one at that. It's lovely in the springtime when you've got a bit less canopy to really see the different birds and hear the different bird song. If you can get up early enough for the dawn chorus, it is amazing. I never managed that. Even at this time of year though, if you look up, there's lovely light shining through the leaves and the canopy at this time of year. And here's our robins singing for us, and some goldcrest behind us. You get goldcrest here, robins, blackbirds, wrens, wood pigeons, collared doves probably as well. There'll no doubt be a few sparrowhawks around, which will take the smaller birds for prey. I'm often asked why there's not many trees in Orkney. Wind, the weather in Orkney and the wind. I guess you need a lot of shelter for the trees to go. As I know in my garden, they've only got to a certain height after 11 years. Here we've got some pink purslane. So it seems to really like kind of woodland, shady areas. Really pretty little pink flower. You sometimes see it white, as kind of white versions of it as well. It seems to flower for quite a long time. I'm sure I was starting to see it around March time when we went into lockdown, and I've seen it out on my local patch walks. It's still in flower now. It's really pretty. Here we've got some dead man's fingers. So they seem to like growing on bits of dead wood like this. I don't know much about fungi, but this is one of the few ones I know that's stuck in my head. Got a nice bunch of nettles here. You can get quite a nasty sting off them, but you'll usually find some dockings close by to relieve the sting. Nettles can be used for a variety of different things. You can make a soup with them, you can make a nettle pesto with them, and I'll be able to provide some tasting notes for them. They're also really good for wildlife. They provide early cover for migrating birds that come here to breed, like the corncrakes. So they put up nettle corridors at a lot of the RSPB reserves to try and encourage the corncrakes back. The flowers in the spring also attract a lot of insects. Here we've got the hawthorn hedging. We've just missed the flowers, we're a bit late for them, but some of the berries are just starting to form here. There is a saying which goes, Ne'er cast ta clwt till May is oot, which means don't put your winter woolies away until the Mayflower is out.
So hello Lauren.
Hello Anna.
It's a lovely day to be out and about doing some foraging.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I see what we've got here. We've got a lovely hawthorn bush. It's very distinctive leaves. So this is something you can find pretty much all over Britain, and I know there's plenty in Orkney as well. So will you tell us a wee bit more about it, you know, how to identify it and what it can be used for?
Yeah. Well, in fact, being this close, first of all, and the key's in the name as well, there are thorns, so do look out for the thorns and be careful. So yeah, you'll see that there's thorns all over. And to pick up on what you said there about the leaves, they are quite distinct. And if you basically they have these really obvious lobes, and they're quite a small leaf. You know, that's a larger one there.
Yep.
So if you get your eye in there, you know, once you see it, you sort of you don't really mistake it. You know, so that again the leaves are quite obvious.
And there's nothing else that's really like it that you could mistake it for.
Good point, absolutely. So certainly those two things, and of course the lovely haws or berries themselves. Being a member of the rose family, actually, at the minute they're looking a little bit like little apples.
They are, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So these little green berries are the haws, and they will turn red as they get a bit more sun and get larger, and that's when you want to harvest them, maybe in autumn time, when the flesh is sort of, you know, much more fuller and red.
Riper.
So at the minute do not pick them, but yeah, that's another key ID feature. For the haw.
And so it's got a long tradition of use, hasn't it? I know in some places they call it bread and cheese.
Yeah. So some, especially in springtime when the new little leaves have just come out, they're very delicate and quite fresh and tasty. So the kids, even in the past, and adults like myself and yourself, you can just munch it straight off the tree.
Absolutely.
You know, it's very, very tasty. Bread and cheese, is it?
Yeah.
Lovely.
And it's also got lots of folklore and superstition and all that sort of thing, but it's also a useful medicine, isn't it?
Yeah. A quick bit of folklore is the hawthorns associated with the May Queen, you know, kind of, and the fairies in other realms. So, you know, in a midsummer's evening, actually, if you're around the hawthorn tree, watch out, because you might be sort of captured and taken away by the May Queen and all the fae. So the wee folk are very much associated with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But interestingly, as you mentioned, and it's a beautiful one actually, and that's reflected in that redness and the richness of the berries as well. For me, is that heart medicine. It's a heart and circulatory tonic.
Yeah.
Tonic just meaning it really supports and nourishes, you know. So it really helps with the circulation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's also good for blood pressure, so it balances blood pressure. You can take it as a tea, so the leaf and flowers, or the berries in the autumn, and there's foods you can make with it as well. But we're going to put together some more information, a slightly longer video, and some recipes too. So
there's that beautiful normalising effect, and let's get those recipes.
Fantastic,
up as well.
Absolutely. So let's move on. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you.
We'll go and see what else we can find.
Lovely.
So we've got some wild raspberries here. Still very green, unfortunately, they're not ripe yet. Otherwise I would be having a good feast on them. So here we have some Angelica. and beside it we have some hogweed. I used to get candied angelica, which is bright green. I used to get it on cakes and ice biscuits and things. The flower heads are quite attractive for insects and hoverflies, as you can see. Hogweed is too, but it's just past flowering now, and that's the seed heads that you can see. But you have to be very careful with hogweed and angelica, so that hogweed is poisonous, and you can get a nasty burn on your skin from the stems. Okay, so we've got some sorrel here. Sorrel's really lovely, it's got a nice citrusy flavour. I use it when I'm cooking fresh fish, and it's also nice in a salad. When you see it flowering, it's got a nice red flower. So there's a little bit here, there's a bit of the flower starting to come, but it's quite an attractive flower in the summertime. So you've got pineapple weed here, so it likes to grow on kind of rough waste ground. If you give the leaves and the flowers a really good rub, like this, and smell them, you get a hint of pineapple. So here we have yarrow. It flowers a bit later at this time of year. It's got these lovely feathery leaves, and then the lovely clusters of the white. Sometimes you get pink flowers on it too.
I'm really glad we've found this one. We've been looking for a while, but we've not found the right sort of vegetation, the right sort of soil where it grows. It's much more prevalent in the Highlands and in the Orkney.
We have a poorer soil,
Unrich. Acidic soil very often as well. It's very hard, it can tolerate quite exposed areas. It's called yarrow, Achillea millefolium, and the millefolium bit means 1,000, oh you've got one there, fantastic. 1,000 leaves, and you can really see why. Can you see that?
So smilla is 1,000 and folia is a leaf.
Yeah, that's right. And there's nothing else that really looks like it. It looks like a feather. So, yeah, absolutely beautiful. The Achillea bit, it comes from a tradition relating to Achilles, and we've known about this plant as a wound herb, a wound healing herb, since the time of the ancient Greeks at least. And Achilles was a warrior, but because he was invulnerable, he couldn't be killed, he used to help his comrades in battle tend their wounds. It stops blood flow, it helps arrest bleeding. So used internally and externally. And it's also a really nice aromatic herb in culinary use as well.
Yeah, I do use it in salads, but also I'm using a dried herb and flowers in my bitters. So steep it in vodka or strong alcohol and extract the bitterness, and then mix it with other things to make all sorts of mixtures. I use it in salads at this stage when it's still pale
Nice
and so soft.
That's very
It's
nice.
still crunchy and it's not that fibrous, and you can use it in salads, but also I use things like that in my ferments.
It's also quite aromatic, bitter, good for digestion. It's associated, it's a relaxant tea. It's associated with, so being helpful for digestive problems, associated with anxiety and stress.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yarrow.
Well, here we've got a lovely little flower which is called red shank. It's a really pretty little pink flower. It really likes the shore of this loch, so there's quite a lot of it along the shoreline here. We have some lovely meadowsweet here, which has got a really nice smell. So we've got some SNEEZEWORT here, quite a pretty little flower. The leaves used to be used for snuff boxes. Other flowers that we've got in here, there's quite a bit of the meadowsweet at the back. This lovely little purple flower here is self-heal. And just behind it, there's some of the seed heads from yellow rattle. We've also got red clover over here. And then down here, there's some eyebright.
It's a really good place to start if you're new to foraging. It's the common dandelion, which is actually a whole lot of different species, subspecies, but it's called Taraxacum officinale, and sometimes you'll see written in brackets afterwards, ag. That just means it's aggregate, so there's a lot of subspecies. Called dandelion, lion's tooth translates as, because of the shape of the leaves, very distinctive leaves. Most of the time. Some dandelion leaves look more like lettuce leaves. In fact, it's a very close cousin of lettuce. Just try and find one here. You see it's less serrated, but still quite distinctive. So the medicinal properties are abundant, as are their food properties. Almost like a medicinal food in a way, because the boundary between the two is very blurred, isn't it?
Food is your medicine.
Food is medicine. Everything you take into your body, food or drink, goes through the same metabolic processes as medicines. So yeah, it all has an effect on your system. Dandelion leaves, well, another nickname for dandelion in Scotland was pea the beds. And in French it was pissenlit, and many other countries it will have a nickname like that because it was used as a diuretic. It wouldn't make you pee the bed. And you can make all sorts of things with the yellow parts of the flower head. You can make dandelion wine. I've tried your dandelion wine in the past, but I've also made some dandelion honey, which is a French rural speciality from the mountains close to the Swiss border.
We're foraging for fun, not only medicine.
Absolutely.
And food, but also for things to play with.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I'll show you the other one that you can
Fantastic.
make. And that's a dandelion whistle or dandelion trumpet. Snap it like that.
Fun.
You need to squash it.
Fantastic.
So it's
That's a great one.
yes.
Yeah.
So
And of course laughter is medicinal too, so
yes, it is.
another therapeutic property of the dandelion.
Okay, so down here we've got some dandelions. So you've got the leaves here, and then luckily we've got one in flower here. Early in the spring, dandelions are a really good source of pollen and nectar for insects, for bees and insects. A lot of people like to get rid of them in their gardens, but it's a good idea to leave a few dandelions for the wildlife. Once the flowers blast, you get the dandelion clocks, and we always used to play with the clocks when we were kids, blowing them to tell the time. But the seed heads are also an important food source for birds in your garden, so I get quite a lot of greenfinches, linnets and twite as well, feeding on the seed heads. You quite often get redpolls or goldfinches too, so it's really important to have them in your garden and leave them as a food source for the wildlife.